Well guys, it seems my first YouTube beef is underway. Alright, so maybe it's less of a real beef, but either way, I do feel like I saw a post on LinkedIn recently, and I was a little bit called out by it. So it seems to actually have gained a lot of traction, which means that a decent amount of people on the internet agree with it. And while I may not have been directly targeted, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of my viewers have felt a similar sentiment towards me. So why don't I go ahead and read it, try to answer it, give a critique of it, and also acknowledge where the post itself is correct. So, one of the relatively popular kind of software engineering creators on LinkedIn posted the following. To all the kids teaching systems design, creating a new microservice for every single verb of your product is not how real-world systems are built. Managing microservices is a pain. Observability is a pain. Data consistency is a pain. State management is a pain. Fault tolerance is a pain. High availability is more than a pain. Consensus is a pain. And failovers are a pain. You're only making your system fragile by adding more moving parts to your system. You need microservices, but not one for every damn verb. To everyone else, next time you see a systems design video, drop a note to the creator asking the above questions. If they cannot answer your doubts, take their advice and design with a pinch of salt. It's easy to draw boxes, but hard to manage real systems. Simple systems scale, period. Now, why is it in particular that I felt called out by this post? Well, a couple of reasons. One, a sentiment that I've often received whenever I do get negative criticism a lot of the time is just lack of physical experience in the industry. And I would say this post mirrors it a little bit with the first line about kids teaching systems design. But even just beyond that, I am someone who, for the sake of my systems design interview videos, loves to break things up into many microservices and draw boxes, as Arpit says in his post here. Now, I should make a few remarks. The first thing I want to do is address where this post is absolutely correct. First off, he's right. A lot of the times you don't want to have a million different services. In theory, it's great to over-engineer all of your solutions, but in reality, that often leads to a lot of extra complexity, and frankly, you just don't often have enough developers to manage all of those extra services. It has absolutely helped me on my job, and in terms of just has absolutely helped me on my job and allowed me to make better solutions and more informed decisions than I would have been able to otherwise. That being said, the systems design interview is not real life, so let me reflect that in a couple of ways. For one, you're not actually building out the product itself, which means that an over-engineered solution could potentially be the best thing, because keep in mind, you're designing for scale that doesn't really exist. In most of these problems, we're saying that we have hundreds of millions of users, and the reality of the situation is a lot of the companies asking these questions don't even have that many users themselves, which is pretty funny in my opinion. But to make a second point, I think that another major advantage of using something like a microservice-heavy architecture within systems design questions is that it actually allows you to break the problem down into more digestible chunks for your interviewer. Now, for those of you who are out there and are relatively new to interviewing, one of the most key important skill sets to have within an interview is being able to communicate your solution well. If you know the answer, but you're not good about communicating it, your interviewer is going to dock you a lot of points. This is not only the case for systems design interviews, but even for something like lead code problems where there's an objective solution. If I know the objective solution and can code it out, but I can't really explain my thought process to my interviewer, I'm ultimately not going to pass that interview. That's just how these things work. Part of being an engineer is being a good communicator. And in the same vein, I think that personally, within a systems design interviews, using a microservice-oriented architecture actually allows you to communicate the problem a little bit better in the sense that you can break it up a bit more. So for example, I just did a video for a Robinhood systems design, and I collaborated with another channel to do that. However, if I wanted to go ahead and make that entire systems design a monolith, it probably would work fine in reality, but it would also mean I would have to explain that entire kind of blob of components and logic and all of that basically all at once. And that would be a little bit more complex for my interviewer to understand. They would probably flail a little bit at that, make me dive deeper, and then I would have trouble actually being able to go and dig into that a little bit further. I think that being able to kind of break the problem down in this way via microservices, while it may be a little bit less practical at times in real life, is actually a very good strategy for the systems design interview still, and in that sense, I will push back on this post. The last thing to note is that Arpit does also mention, to everyone else, the next time you see a systems design video, drop a note to the creator asking them and prodding them about why the design is the way that it is. So, to my viewers, if you ever do feel that I make a decision in one of my design videos that is indefensible, or you can't really understand why I chose to do it, please do leave me a comment. You guys are already great about doing this, but I'm sure there are many other people who have seen my designs and have been unsure about them, or think there was a better route. And the truth is, I'm not perfect. I certainly am not like a god of systems design interviews, and there's always room for me to improve. So if you do go ahead in the comments and think you have something better, please leave it there. I'll try to defend myself. Maybe I won't be able to, and I think that's part of the growth process for not just you guys, but me too. And so with all of that being said, Arpit, I appreciate your post. Even though you called me out and I hate you, it is still valid. For the 3,000 people who liked it, hopefully they weren't all thinking about me, but I wouldn't be surprised if a couple were. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to go stew about my first YouTube beef, and have a great day.